Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Dark Anime Robin. In this video, I'll be unboxing and reviewing the SH Figuarts of Marvel Gamerverse Cyclops. And this set is manufactured by Bandai Tamashii Nation. And before we open this set, let's have a quick look of the details shown on the case. And like most SH Figuarts, we can see pretty much the whole figure through the transparency up front. And here we have a view for some of the alternate parts in this set. And as most fans of Marvel Cyclops or X-Men fans would know, his mutant power is fire optical beams or laser eyes, and we have like these alternate heads that project the beam from his visor to simulate the eye beam blast effect. And on the back, we only have a few pictures, but it's enough to show us, like all SH Figuarts, this figure has very good articulation and capable of putting on all kinds of poses, and looks like we are including a optical blast background here to simulate how the character would perform a ultimate attack in the Marvel video games here. And that's all the details we can see from the case. Now let's open this up. And here we have the whole set in the plastic case, and this is the optical beam background, and it looks like the instruction manuals including here. This is the whole content of the set. And let's take out the figure first. And you have, with the SH Figuarts set, you have to open this cover carefully or gently, otherwise you could send all these small pieces inside of flying, and it's gonna be a very huge pain trying to recover those pieces. And just try to lose the four corners first. There we go. Here we have Cyclops. And like all SH Figuarts, a little or no adjustment. You can get the figure to stand up straight, so it's got very cool balance. And this little plastic film that's being placed underneath the torso of the figure. This is the indication or proof that the set is brand new when you first open this. So obviously you want to remove this, but it can be a little tricky. This one's kind of hiding underneath this belt here. There we go. And before we go further, let's check out the contents of this small package and the instruction manual first. The tape is kind of tight here. Let's just cut it. So it looks like the background piece is actually separated into two pieces, which we'll explore later. Let's look over the instruction manual real quick. And seems just like all instruction manual for SH Figuarts, they just show us like how many alternate hands parts they are, in addition to the default hands, which like usual is called clenched fists, and how like we can interchange the optical beam blast effect parts. I mean, as you already saw from the set, there's like two heads that can utilize the beam effect parts, and this part's telling us we can interchange between the two different alternate head, apparently. And apparently, so there's also one visor piece that simulate the beam charging effect, and looks like we can also put these parts onto that effect parts. And this is showing us how we can replace the heads. Basically, we just remove the default head out and the visor piece out as well, and the hair piece from the head, and then we put the alternate heads in place. And there's also different neck pieces, which is becoming kind of common in at least some of the Marvel character SH Figuarts to help with simulating appearances. And now let's explore the articulation of the figure. So its head can turn left and right very easily. And with the default neck, you can kind of look up, turn upward like this, and easily downward. And can raise his arms 90 degrees. And move the shoulders forward. We'll rotate the whole arm. Turn. The hands can turn. And here it can bend its torso a little forward, backward, but this belt design, it can kind of get in its way. So when you make the upper body move, you gotta be careful. And it seems like, unlike most SH Figuarts, it can really turn at its waist, at least not very flexibly. But there's enough upper body movement that it can put all kinds of cool combat or fighting poses like this. Or just simple punching pose. And again, looks like we cannot really turn the waist, but the belt is slightly flexible here, so it at least if you try to pose the figure, maybe it's not totally sturdy and getting your way. And the leg can kick up, fall back, and kick backwards easily, and bend its knee. Same thing on this other leg. You can raise to the sides, which help with like a side kicking pose. At the side, the legs can turn inward and outward. And there's like the feet, it's got like the ball joint here. Very articulated and flexible. And it can bend at its toes, so which helps with like a standing on the toe kind of pose. And with all these leg and feet articulation, it's very easy to adjust the stance for the figure, just like pretty much all SH Figuarts. Of course, you just have to work the balance right to get a standing, a cool looking pose. Now let's explore the alternate parts and how they can work with a figure for posing for display. Let us start with these two alternate heads, which comes with two alternate optical blast effect parts. So most SH Figuarts, actually pretty much all of them, come with at least one or two alternate face piece for different expression, and these although having these effect parts attached, these are actually the alternate heads for different expression as well. And in case of Cyclops character, it's a little bit tricky since he's wearing the visor and you can't see any expressions through the eyes. So here we just have like it's his mouth to show the different kind of expression, not emotionally, but at least some degree. So this head here, its teeth is clenched. And this one, it's like his mouth is wide open, like a rolling kind of face. And again, as you saw from the instruction manual, if we wanted to, we can just switch the eye beam effect parts to different head with different kind of expression with the mouth. So in this case, even before we try the alternate heads, we can also put the optical beam effect with the default head. This is for showing like kind of, even though it's kind of blank expression, it can still work with these parts. And we have like a really strong beam here, which would obviously work better with these alternate heads. For like he's trying really hard to fire a strong beam. And as to how we can attach the alternate parts on, as you saw from the instruction manual. For the hands, it's very easy. You just just have to detach the default hands and reattach with any alternate hands you want. The head, it's slightly tricky for this figure, and so first we would have to detach the default head, and then to put on the other effect parts you want to work with, you would have to first remove all these pieces from the default head, and then start attaching the alternate head on. Put the hair on like this, and then put the head back in place, or the alternate head I should say. And you can also change to a different beam effect parts to work with the head you want to fire the beam from. So this basically simulate or recreate a different kind of beam strength with whichever facial or the expression you want. Here we have another alternate visor part where like the energy is kind of glowing or leaking from the visor piece. This is like to simulate Cyclops is charging energy up to fire the optical beam, which would work better with the alternate head to show like he's really or worked up and as he's charging the energy, or very emotional. Here we have a martial art fighting stance. Here's Cyclops performing a hand chop. Here we have Cyclops putting his hands on his finger on the visor to get ready for beam blast. And here's the effect parts of the visor showing the energy being charged. And he's really clenching his teeth now. Here's the optical beam firing with Cyclops making a war cry mouth face at the same time. Here's one blasting pose which utilize an alternate neck, and as you can see this way it's easier to put on the pose of like the neck is posted at different angle, more like head is lunging forward for the blast effect or for the blasting pose. And here we have the second alternate neck. This one is kind of a little just straight up neck, so it might be easier to work with a blast that's again like this one, a short range burst kind of blast. And here we have Cyclops performing a pose of like him grabbing someone, holding them up overhead with one hand, and this is like he's threatening to blast someone if they don't cooperate. Like say, talk or I'll blast you into pieces. And here's Cyclops firing a powerful beam into the sky. And in order to execute this pose, you need a compatible display stand to hold the figure still, because the way that's put onto the figure by the beam effect parts is too heavy for the figure to take on by itself. And here's the powerful blast being fired forward. And once again, if you want to execute this kind of pose with this strong beam effect, you might want to utilize a compatible display stand or stage to hold this beam effect still, because with this heavy weight being applied to the head like that, there's no way this pose can be held for extended period of time. At the very least, this piece would definitely fall out if you have the figure set up like this. For again, it's just not gonna last on itself by too long. Finally, let's set up the ultimate beam firing effect parts with these background piece. Let's first set this aside for a second and have to put this on. Optical glass Cyclops. So you can either have it like all folded out. Well, actually, you probably cannot. You can either set it up like this, or just use each piece individually. But either way, you just have to like leave it standing like that. And well, actually, you have to move a little to get everything in the right angle, and then put the figure in the right spot. And here we go. We have Cyclops firing the gigantic optical blast beam. I just adjusted the background a little bit more to look more like in the right position. And with that, we have covered all the basic feature for this set. So this is definitely a very versatile, very interesting and figure and very fun to work with. And as you can see, and just like OSH Figuarts that's based on any animated characters, this figure is crafted so masterfully to portray the Cyclops of X-Men from either the 1997 animated series or on video games. So, and if you are a fan of X-Men or specifically Cyclops, then this will definitely be a great figure to add to your collection, because once again, not only is it so have a strong screen accuracy in appearance to the Cyclops character it's based on, and it has such strong articulation you can utilize in order to put on all kinds of fighting poses for Cyclops. And more importantly, we got so many different alternate parts or effect parts to portray Cyclops eye blasting poses and expression, and which includes the different heads and the mouth expression to work with the figure. You can, and so many combination you can put on in order to create great display. And so, which means if either you're a fan for Cyclops or you like playing his character on the video game so much, you can you use this figure to recreate whatever poses you saw Cyclops do in the animated series or in video games, to bring it back to life in 3 dimensions with this set. And more importantly, it's simply like a very strong looking figure. I'm sure even if you are not a fan of X-Men or Cyclops, this strong guy look is really good for any collector of action figures. But there's still some issues you want to keep in mind as you decide to buy this figure or not. One of the trickiest thing to work in this figure is that, so yes, it's good that it has like these alternate necks in order to help set up different kind of postures, but since these neck as well as the default neck parts, they all look very similar. You can almost not distinguish them by look alone. So if you want to really utilize these parts and how to work with this figure well, you're gonna have to find a way to organize things really well so you don't lose track of them, and you know which neck is which to utilize for which situation or which poses. But besides this issue, I don't see anything wrong with this set, and it's definitely one of the more interesting figures ever manufactured by Tamashii Nation, because with all its accessory, this figure is really versatile. I would highly recommend any X-Men fan, or again, if you're just a collector who love interesting action figure, to seriously consider adding this figure to your collection. This concludes my review for this set. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel. And please check out other videos in my channel. If you have any question, please leave them in the comment section. I will answer with the best of my knowledge and ability.